Would you like to accelerate your career and reach your full potential in just minutes a day? Welcome to the LEADx Show with New York Times best-selling author and Inc. 500 entrepreneur, Kevin Kruse.
Hey there, everybody. Kevin Kruse here. Happy Friday. This Friday podcast is think of it like a bonus episode. I can chat about productivity or leadership or anything that's on my mind. I try to remember to give you a little bit of behind the scenes stuff, how we making the sausage with our crazy AI manager training company. And if I'm a little more subdued today, it's because it is 5 o'clock in the morning as I'm recording this. Things are just crazy. And I've got to do, great people who get up super early. It's like former Navy SEAL Jocko Willink. If you want some motivation or just to feel horrible about yourself, follow his Instagram. I mean, every morning he's putting up a pic of his watch as he gets out of bed at like 4 o'clock in the morning. Casey Neistat, amazing YouTuber, movie maker, videographer. He gets up every day like 4:30 or 5 o'clock to get stuff done. I don't usually get up this early, but I have to. I mean, things are just insane. By the time you're hearing this, certainly it is election week. I voted. I hope you voted too. It's so important to vote. And we had our first ever LEADx Live event where heads of leadership development came together to thought partner and create their plans for 2019. We focused on how do you scale leadership through an organization. We had the Bamboo HR Virtual Summit. The broadcast went out. I'd done a pre-recording. If you saw that, you saw me playing with robots and having some fun. As usual, most people are saying, Kevin, you shouldn't play with robots on that video. It's so weird and unprofessional. And I'm getting pushback on the crazy business poetry that I'm putting on LinkedIn that's getting 100,000 views, 80,000 views, 50,000 views. I'm now over 27,000 connections on LinkedIn. And despite that success in terms of reaching people, my more traditional business friends are saying, you got to stop doing that. It's awful. I'm not going to refer people to you. It's unprofessional. That's probably a whole nother episode itself. It's like, okay, to what degree do we care what other people think about us? And are you doing your work to help people? Or are you doing your work to look good? But anyway, I've got the question of the week comes from a Michael M. who said, so would you say that minimalism contributes to success? If so, is it because you're able to better focus on what is most important? So I'm going to dive into that in just a second. Friendly reminder, if you haven't already left a review for this podcast up on iTunes, please do so. It's the number one way we will find new listeners. It is really hard with so many awesome NPR $1 million podcasts out there to find new listeners. And by ramping up our reviews, we stay relevant in the search engine. So thanks for that. And what else? In case you didn't hear it, this week's guest interview podcast on the LEADx Show, I spoke with Erica Dewan about the difference between just regular networking, which I'm a big believer in, and what she calls connectional intelligence. She says CxQ is the next EQ. So what is the difference between connectional intelligence and just traditional networking? You can go back and listen to the show, or if you just want to read it, we put the transcripts up over on the leadx.org website. So, and she tells me that my 27,000 LinkedIn connections, has a downside. It might be bad. So you could dive into that. And it was kind of an interesting article in the Wall Street Journal. If you, I call it, I guess they call it also the H factor. It's all about humility. If you Google the best bosses are humble bosses, you'll find that article. And, my reaction to that is, well, duh. Of course, humble bosses are the best bosses. Who thinks that the egomaniacs and the big charisma guys are the best anymore? But apparently, there's new research on it, new assessments. So you want to hire people with high humility, low ego. You can do that, and it's just the normal thing where more effective leaders there are signs that they tend to be humble, they tend to be introverted, but most leaders are actually extroverted and sort of bigger ego people. And it's just because they stand out. It doesn't mean it's good. And, we're hearing more and more about bias in artificial intelligence. And it's because when you train AI with existing data often reflects bias in a company or society. And this applies to hiring as well, because if the best leaders in your organization or the best workers in a specific role, happen to be, white males with, 8 years of college education, whatever it is, it just might be a reflection that that's just the pool you always hired from. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a one-to-one study showing that those are predictive of success. And so people are finding all kinds of bias in the algorithms. And so this would be another area to look at. Hopefully you're getting back into, keep an eye over at leadx.org and subscribe, to the newsletter over at leadx.org or kevinkruse.com, because we're back to doing 2 free webinars a month. We slowed it down over the summer, but we're back to that. And so hopefully you'll see these are complimentary webinars that you can sign up for in advance. Oh, I also forgot, this is just asking a favor. I finally released a new speaker reel, a keynote speaker demo, video. The last time I did this, I couldn't believe it. It was literally 10 years ago. And it was so embarrassing because I didn't have gray hair back then. Now I've got plenty. And so, people would hire me looking at this demo reel, and then I'd show up and they'd be looking at me weird. Like, who's this old guy? Like, did Kevin send his dad? So I didn't want to be that guy that you see them on social media, you see them on the book cover author photos. I don't know personally, but I'm sure you see them on, Match.com and Tinder, where it's like the photo you use is like the best photo you ever took, 20 years ago. And I was becoming that guy. So finally, Katrina and I worked really hard. She did an amazing job creating this 10-minute demo reel. And if you have so first of all, just as a favor, if you go on YouTube, you can search my name, Kevin Kruse, not the Princeton history professor. There's 2 of us out there, but on YouTube, I should come up pretty easily. And then just watch a few minutes of the demo video on my YouTube page, and then, click a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you don't like it. I would just love to get some views on it and some traction on it and see what you think. And I think you even if, in addition to just doing a favor for me, you can look at it and learn from a couple of ways. I know many of you out there want to do public speaking, you want to ease into a professional speaking career, get paid to speak. You need to have a killer demo reel these days. I mean, you really do. The bar is really high. And so, I studied a lot of videos before putting this one together. I have pretty good success out there on the speaking circuit. So, take a look at what we do and it'll inspire you. And you'll see some elements that, again, are new, different, weird, not going to be for everyone, but it's signaling that we're a little bit more modern, we're a little more hip with it. And I don't even want to explain what we did. Just go check it out and let me know what you think. What else? Hey, remember, if you've got 10 employees, 10 managers who you would consider getting the LEADx platform for, it's very affordable and you just want to check it out, email me at kevin@leadx.org, because I want to hook you up with a free pilot. Right now, we're doing so many cool things. In fact, today we are releasing the social feed in the iPhone or iPad app, so that your team can actually be in a group as they learn about leadership and comment on things. It's a little sort of peer-to-peer learning cohort. Coach Amanda is getting smarter and smarter. We just taught her about Myers-Briggs, MBTI, etc. So shoot me a note if you've got 10 employees or more. We can hook you up with a free pilot, and then if you guys like it, you can keep it. So back to this question about minimalism. First of all, minimalism, like if you Google the official definition, it comes from art movement, of a minimalist style of art. But it's emerged as, sort of a philosophy, a way to live, of not an official definition, but of having fewer things. And it's kind of gotten to the point where it's gotten trendy. And so a lot of people think that minimalism means you only own 100 things or less. It doesn't officially mean that. Just some people are using that. Like, I only will ever own 100 objects. James Altucher spent about a year or two. He sold off throughout everything. He wanted to live in a way where everything he owned fit in one bag, and he did it and he liked it. But there was a downside, and then he got a fiance. So, of course he had to get a place and all that. When Michael asks me, does minimalism contribute to success? I would say no. I don't. I know a lot of successful people. Of course, it always depends on your definition of success. But no, I don't think, like, if you want to be successful, you should be a minimalist. I wasn't in my early days. I know a ton of self-made multimillionaires. They're not minimalists. However, having said that, I do consider myself a minimalist to some degree, and I'm trying hard to really ramp that up. So why? To me, so right now, if you followed me around, I certainly wouldn't look like a minimalist because I own 2 homes, 3 cars, 1,000 books, tech gear like crazy. And I'm trying to change that. So I have 3 kids, 2 are off to college. I've still got 1 with me, and I'm not going to put my needs or interests before theirs. And so I want to have a suburban home with a normal setup for my son and when he brings his friends over and all those kinds of things. Trust me, the day he's off to college full time, then it's full time living in Philadelphia. And that place is a smaller place with very little things in it in a very sort of modern minimalist style. And I'm trying to get rid of my stuff. I'm literally giving away at this time like thousands of dollars of brand new like gear and things I've never opened. And I'm trying to donate books and all this kind of stuff. So why am I doing that? And again, there's no right answer. This is just for me. I do think that objects can occupy space in your head, if not on your calendar. And they don't mean as much as they used to, and I'm trying to make them mean nothing. I know a lot of people who made a lot of money, like when we were in our 30s. And we were all humble beginning kind of people, didn't have anything growing up, worked our butts off in our 20s, got multi-million-dollar companies and sold them or whatever in our 30s. And it seemed like almost everybody went out and bought cars and vacation homes and racehorses and artwork and just stupid stuff. And I didn't do too much of that, but a little. And it's now 20 years later. We're all like 50 or 50 something. And all these same people that I saw get some financial success and buy that stuff, they're all getting rid of it. It's amazing. I mean, the people who loved and dreamed of the Ferraris and stuff, and then they, talked about their Ferrari all the time. I mean, they sold their Ferrari. People are getting rid of their second homes. And it's because I think we're hitting an age where all of a sudden, like first of all, it sounds weird and I sound like such an a-hole, because it's easy to say it when you have it. But like, even when you have that fancy sports car or whatever, it's fun for a while, but then it wears off. Like, you get used to it. Like, that becomes the new standard. The fun is in the variety or mixing things up. And I think we get to an age where we value time way more than anything else. And these things take time. And whether we needed those things for ego or for self-worth, to make ourselves feel good or to fulfill a childhood dream. Well, we did all that. We got it. It's like, well, we don't need those objects to do that. And so, it's funny. James Altucher he once told me that like the things that he missed when he went totally minimalist, it's like, his Spock doll, his Star Trek Spock doll from when he was a kid. And so like, those are the things, like, I don't ever plan to give everything away, but it is amazing. Like, even like if you've got multiple cars, you've got multiple cars that need maintenance and that break down and that need to get washed or whatever it is. And you can say like, well, if you're doing well enough to have multiple cars, just have your assistant go take care of it, or hire a TaskRabbit person to come and deal with it. And you can do that. It saves a little bit of time, but there's nothing that is completely free of you. Like, even if you wanted your assistant to take your car for its annual inspection, and you've got 3 cars, it's still like, okay, oh, look at that. On my calendar is a reminder about the car. Okay, talk to the assistant about what day they will take the car in to get it taken care of, and you got to leave the keys out, or meet them, or how are they going to pay for it? You got to give them cash or give them your personal credit card. It's just, I mean, it's a silly example, but whether it's a car or whether it's a house that all of a sudden, my buddy Mike's shore house that got knocked out in the Jersey hurricane, and it's been a year of his life, rebuilding it and dealing with contractors and stuff. Whether it's the Philadelphia condo that all of a sudden Philadelphia wants to reassess taxes, and now there's lawyers negotiating taxes. Like, every object seems to come with something. Now, maybe not a book as much, but as I'm sitting in my office, and I love books, I literally had, I don't know, over 1,000 books. I was reading a book a day for a long time, and people send me 1 million books. So, I mean, I'll always keep, not always, but I mean, for a long time, I don't mind having 100 books of my favorite books around me. But why would I keep the other 1,000 that are in the boxes that now I need to can't find them, or I got to worry about the basement flooding or something? It's just, you worry about things. I've got the best financial advisor in the world, and John, and I could be full of it, but I would like to think, I always tell John, listen, I'm willing to risk everything I have and invest everything back into LEADx, and I'm willing to lose it all on a dream, because I would like to think that for my quote unquote retirement years, I'm never going to retire. That's a death sentence. But in my retirement years, if I had a tiny house, a laptop, give me a MacBook, a connection to the internet, a Netflix account, and a Kindle, I'd be good. If I can read, if I can write, if I can surf the web and connect with people on social media, if I can watch Netflix movies, have a warm, dry place to sleep, what more do you really need, right? And I'm sure, you might not be into writing books, you might not be into reading books, but you probably have your thing. If you could just have a place to live and watch your favorite football team, or, tailgate or whatever. Most of what makes us happy is really relationships, our health, and, a little bit of fun, a little bit of novelty. And so the minimalism thing, you don't have to be a minimalist to drive success. But if you adopt the minimalist mindset and you realize that things own you, you don't own things. Well, the more things you have, the more that mind share gets diluted. And the famous example, which I think is a little silly, is Mark Zuckerberg only wore gray t-shirts for an entire year because he didn't want to deplete his decision-making ability by having to choose a shirt in the morning. Okay, that's BS. We are superhumans. We have the capacity to pick out our clothes in the morning and still make wise decisions. However, all those things do stack up. And so the more we can minimalize what's around us, I do think the more we can focus and make better decisions. But it's a nice to have. It's not something that we all need to worry about. Wow, who knew I would go 20 minutes talking about random minimalism? But that is it. And friends, you know me, I think we are all leaders and we are all leading all of the time because we are influencing those around us, whether we want to or not. Question is, are you leading them in the right direction or the wrong direction? So the question for you specifically is, how are you going to lead today?